Hey everybody, it's February 19th. I'm headed over to a friend of mine, Dr. Ben Kinney. He's my veterinarian, his farm out here in West Tennessee. It's a real pretty day, so I figured we'd get out, look. He's been asking me to come by and take a look at it for him. He's a rather new deer hunter. He's always been a waterfowl hunter, but just recently got all his student loans paid off, and he's been working through most of his 20s and early 30s to do that, so he hasn't had as much time to hunt as I do. He's smarter than me. So he asked me if I would mind coming out and taking a look at his property so I could give him some opinions on how he needs to set up to be successful for bigger deer, and how he, you know, would go about maybe setting his property up so that it would hold bigger deer, and you know, he can manage them and everything like that. He had a big deer he was hunting this last year, and he didn't ever get a shot at him, but he found out the neighbor shot him. So he's a little bummed, but he's happy for his neighbor. He's helped me and my family out with our dogs, so I said, heck, what's the least I can do is come over there and take a look at your property. I enjoy doing this stuff anyway. Probably a cool video. Maybe you guys could get something out of it, or give me some feedback on what I could do better, or maybe give some opinions on what you think. Anyway, we're going out there to check out the property. I'll introduce you to him, and we'll see y'all later. All right, everybody, this is my friend Dr. Ben.
Hey.
And we're out here at his place. Beautiful place. I don't know how much y'all can see. I'm on the GoPro here, but just absolutely gorgeous place. I've never been here before, so we're gonna go ride around a little bit. Got a nice ride to ride around in, and we're gonna see what we can't find out about this place. There's a rub right there. Pretty good and tall too. They probably use this right here.
Well, what they
in
do,
between the fields, they walk this.
What they do, this levee goes all the way around there, and they just have this cattle path beating across the top of it.
Yeah, they walk that levee because a buck to stay in that thick stuff right there and not be seen. And then, you know, I mean, that right there shows you that's where he's coming out. That's a high rub, man. That thing is, and that's this year. I mean, if you, I mean, he's hitting his tines all the way up here. So, I mean, that's pretty impressive. That might be that deer that you were hunting after.
Here it gets super soft back here. We won't be able to go all the way around. But I've got one place I think that so I've got a stand up there. I hate that stand. It's good for early season, but late season you just don't have cover.
You can old deer stand right there. That's always a good sign.
Yeah. I want to put a box right here next year, so I can just shoot that whole thing.
I wouldn't put it right here because that's where your deer are gonna cross.
All right.
If I was you,
Put it on that side over there.
well, you're gonna have a north wind, so I would want to have it. This is the south side of it. I'd probably tuck it. I'd actually probably cut some trees and maybe make a lane up here on top, if you can get it up there, or maybe just you not necessarily put a box. I don't know, box. You know, if you want to hunt out a comfortable box, I'd have it up there to where you can sneak into it on that top ridge right there. You walk in on that top ridge, you sneak in, you can get up to it instead of having to open yourself up and walk out here. Because it looks to me like if they're using that levee, your deer might be coming out on this side. This is the thicker side that I would think your deer is going to come out here where it's real thick by this levee. It's kind of pinch them down because there's a creek over there too. Big ditch. So if that creek, they have to pinch between that creek, come out, they're going to come out on this side. Because, you know, I mean, a buck come from anywhere during the rut, but I would think he would enter this field, you know, down here. Because if you got that north wind and you're up here and he wants to come in from down there, he's gonna wind you with a northwest wind because it's gonna be blowing that way.
Yeah, that's the hard part. Is and this farm's kind of tough because if you got a W in it, you almost can't go.
Yeah.
Northwest to give you can cheat enough to kind of push it.
Yeah, because your farm's kind of on the east side of the creek here.
If it's got a W in it, you're kind of done.
Yeah. I think I would have it more like up there, or maybe right here at this corner if you're going to put a box blind in, just because it's going to be easier for you to get into from the top, rather than having to, you know, I mean, you could get into it from here too, depending on what you do with this field. If you plant that field, then you could have all kind of ways into these, and it'd just be a perfect, you know, place for deer hunting, you know, to get in and out and sneak in. But I'll have to look on the map and see what that looks like over there on that southeast side too, see what it looks like. That's All right, everybody, we just found a first big buck bed on this property, and it's kind of out in the open, but it is a humongous bed. You can see it right here. I mean, that's, for instance, that shows you how big it is on each side. And I'd say he's probably sitting up here trying to figure out what, heck, you should have a picture of him.
Well, that was the live camera.
It is?
I don't have any picture of him in it.
Yeah, see right here, if he's looking out there, he can see everything coming up this way. It's probably, I'd say he's probably sitting here on a south wind, probably southwest.
Like it is.
Yep, and he can see all that right there. And this bed, he's probably laid in it not too long ago. You might find hair in there, but you can see that what he can see. If you get down low, like what a deer would be like this, you can see all that.
Wow.
What he can see. So he can see everything coming up all the way down there.
This is a great vantage.
Yeah, and then he can,
unfortunately.
yeah, and then he can smell everything coming over his back. And he can also see anything that comes up that way, you know, back over that way. He's going to hear you in these leaves and stuff. So, man, that's a pretty good sized bed right there. That's a big bed.
Yeah, acorns in it.
Yeah, and it's,
they're eating in.
yeah, and it's by itself too, which is kind of, tells you it's a buck bed too, when they're alone like this, because I don't see any other. Now, usually like up here on top of a ridge or something, you'd think it'd be a bunch of does, you know, but sitting in a wide open spot like this, but you can see his vantage point. That's why I say it's a buck. You should have his picture. There's your camera.
Yeah, that one's got a lot better than good on that. That'll be easier to show.
Yeah, another thing too, Ben, is I take that camera and I put it up higher above that limb. I put all my cameras up high because I found that those big bucks, they get to know what those cameras are and they'll avoid them. And he's just outside of that. Yeah, he's pretty good. When is that? Dang, that's just a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
That's probably the buck that was doing it.
Because that's
cool.
Yeah, and for the last 2 years though, this time of year,
they're
right there.
But see, that the thing is, do you have that camera there all year too, or do you?
I just put that one up. I'm in the process of just transitioning to all cell stuff, so I just want to get out and check stuff. But I put that one's pretty much there all the time. I have that one a little bit lower now for like turkey.
Did you have it? Did you have it there?
No, I put that up about 3 weeks ago.
Okay, so you don't really know. I was gonna say I'd keep it there. I put it there next year, or you could leave it there all year. You live here, but I would have batteries in that lithiums to where that thing could run from August on and not come back here and look at it again, just to see if they use this more than just now. Because right now there's no brush and he can see, so he might not even use that bed during deer season. He might only use it now. Now he'd probably use it late season, I would think. But right now I don't think he would, you know, use that bed early season.
The only time I've seen him is off over that side.
That's a heck of a deer though.
Yeah.
You got a bunch of rubs too right here on this side.
That's new.
There's a,
I was back there a couple
is it really?
when I put that camera up. That's new. That is very new.
He might be trying to get those antlers off. We might find his rack.
I hope so.
Yeah, there's some. He's still got some shavings in there. It's not too old. Yeah, see, this is a good ridge because he's got a good vantage point on that side. You know, if he comes through here, it's pretty thick, especially for right now. I mean, you go back to October, and this is all going to be way thicker than what it is right now. I mean, this is February, and it's still, he's got a lot of good snags. Another good rub right here on this tree. That's an old one, you know, perennial rub. There's probably rubs all through here, I bet. This is a pretty good looking spot. Well, here, let's move on. I mean, just look at those tracks right there where they're just wearing this out. This would definitely be on my list of things to remember. And then like right up here, looks like that's where they're going.
Another camera up here somewhere.
Just found deadhead number 2 in this little spot.
This is a Betty Crocker.
Big old spike there. That's what we're looking for. That's him. Yeah, this is definitely your bedding up in here. Definitely.
Left it alone.
Yeah. So we're walking back here in the area I was just talking about, and it's bedding, and he was just telling me he's only been here like 2 or 3 times. And you can see there's just beds. We found 2. He found a deadhead in here earlier. We found one now. There's big, you know, rubs all over trees, old rubs on trees, something like this. And it's kind of on a high spot. Right out there is a big grain field. Down to the south's a big grain field. You got a pond on the east side, and up to the north is where his house is. And it's just, as you can see through there, it's just super thick. So it feels like this is just one of those areas. It's like a holy grail where a big buck would feel really comfortable staying in, and could see you coming from a long way away. All right, so a little while ago, I talked to y'all about there was a big bedding area right over here. We're on the back side of that pond. You've got the levee right here that I spoke about was probably a way they were accessing the bedding area and leaving the bedding area. So we walked all the way around it and came up this ridge. This ridge here is on the east side of the pond, and there's a trail right up here on top of this ridge where there's like an old logging road where they probably cut and then planted those pines years ago. This is all, as you can see, another, again, really thick, and we found a trail walking basically parallel, upper 1/3 like everybody talks about, on the ridge, on this ridge here coming all the way through. So it's kind of putting the pieces together. You got the bedding over there. You got a trail coming this way going into the bedding and exiting, and then as you go around there, there's where we parked the side-by-side originally before we got off, and the first thing we found was the bed right up in that area right there. So it kind of putting a picture of how these deer are moving through this area. And what I'm suggesting is we probably put a stand over here on this side. I told him I'd hunt it only with a heavy wind so you didn't make a lot of noise getting in here, north wind, because that way they won't be in your face. You won't have to disturb the bedding or anything with your scent. So we're gonna keep on looking. So we just walked up on another great big bed here. You can see it down in the ground right here. So again, you got a south wind. This is south right back here. You got a big cornfield that's wide open, so a deer probably feels safe being able to see what's going on, or, you know, maybe smell that field. You got a tree right here to his back. Now normally I think he'd be wanting to watch the field, but if you look up this way, it's kind of opening, and the way the deer or anything coming into the bed, they're going to come from high-low, and then he can escape right across that field pretty easy. So I think this would be a good spot where he could sit with his back to the field like this and watch up the hill there into all the opening. There's another field, I don't know if y'all can see it. We're on the tree line right here, and then back here, anything that comes this way, he's going to be able to see. And of course he can smell all the woods on that side. He can see everything over here, back over this way. It's a really good looking spot, and this is a pretty big bed like the first one that we found too. And like I said, that I would say that is definitely a buck bed because it's by itself. Got a tree behind it. So a lot of good stuff. Here we got another, either a bed or a scrape. I think that's gonna be a scrape, Ben. Yeah. Yeah, you got a big rub here too. So you got the rub here and the scrape right here. So another couple of scrapes up here on top of this ridge. This is kind of like a finger that comes down from that direction and that direction, and then comes down into that field right there. And it looks like these deer, this buck is bedding on top of this finger, watching over everything. So pretty neat watching how they move through these hills.
Yeah.
So
look, there's another rub right off too.
Another big rub right there, another little rub right there. So we're walking down through here, and he was asking me, like, how would I hunt this? We were talking about, now he gun hunts, I bow hunt, and I'm trying to help him get set up for gun hunt. So gun hunting wise, I do this totally different. I'd hunt this big field here and leave this the heck alone and let the deer kind of ease out of here. Out in the field there's a point that comes out about 200 yards. I'd put a box blind or something right there. And that way I can shoot both sides around the other side of the field or up on this north side and kind of leave this alone. Up there on top of that ridge, there's a road that goes all the way down. He can easily walk down it, and nothing in here will wind check him or anything like that. But he and I were talking about bow hunting, and I told him, I said, hey, you know, he's probably gonna drop down through here because you got an open field up there. You got, this is kind of ridgy through here, but this is the easiest way around. I didn't even know it. This was here, but we walked down, and you can see this giant trail highway walking this lower part of this hill here. So like what I was saying, if I was to bow hunt this, your stand that you got is actually in a good spot. I would just be kind of afraid that I'd probably move a little further down over that ridge to get in there, because there's his stand right there. So he's got the right idea, definitely being where he's at. But just thought that's kind of cool. So we're walking up the field right here, and he was showing me where there was a scrape last year right here. So a lot of people don't know. Sometimes, like this right here being so old, somebody might think that this spot right here is washed out or something like that, because it doesn't really look like a scrape. You know, I might not even catch if I'm walking by kind of quick. But if you see something like that, and you look up, and you've got, you know, broken branches like that right there, you got a broken branch here, and you got it right on here you go, here's another broken branch. It shows you it was probably a scrape at one time. And a lot of times too, they'll use these big scrapes. It's on a point. A lot of times I find them on a point. A lot of times they'll use these scrapes year in, year out. So I always like to set my cameras up in August on something like this and just let it soak. And you know, a lot of times you'll start seeing when they start actually using the scrapes and how long they use them for before they kind of become inactive. And here in West Tennessee, I usually notice that happens usually into October, first 2 weeks of November, and then it's kind of hit or miss once the deer start coming into heat. But just a little tip, something I found. I just thought I'd share with y'all. Well, that's a wrap. I went over there and took a look at the property with Dr. Ben, and man, it's a really nice property. The one thing I think that it might have needed was a little bit more bedding. There's not a whole lot on it. There's more than I thought there was originally when I looked at the place, but after walking it, I'd probably do some hinge cutting. Me personally, I'd do some select cutting just to get rid of some of those trees a little bit quicker and make some money off the property. It'd be pretty cool. But just walking through, it's a good property, and he has got some really nice pictures of deer on that property. He doesn't put a lot of pressure on it. He's pretty busy as a veterinarian, so he doesn't get a lot of time to hunt, which is probably a good thing, because I don't think you could pressure it. It's only 150 acres, but he's got food plots and all kind of stuff. So I really had a good time out there walking around with him, and hopefully this fall I'll get to film him doing a big recovery with one of his deer that he's got on camera. Unfortunately, one of the bigger ones got shot this last year, and he was really excited. He showed me a picture of that deer, and it was a tank 8-point. But he's got another real wide big 8-point on there, and then he's got a 9-point that's been kind of hanging around all year. So hopefully with a little bit of luck, and hopefully some of the stuff I said today might help him get on those deer and some different planting and stuff like that. He'll be able to harvest one of those deer. I know he's excited and worked hard for that piece of property. So hope you guys enjoyed the video today. If you got any questions or suggestions, I'm open. And until next time, we'll see y'all later.